Hi, I'm Myron at Duraflap. One of the things that we do that nobody else in the industry does is we'll custom make a set of mud flaps to meet your aftermarket wheels and tires. As you can see on this 2019 Denali, it's got some cool Moto wheels and tires on it. Well, now they set outside of the fender a couple inches, and if you put standard mud flaps on there, they're not going to be centered. So what I'm going to do today is show you how to take some measurements, filling out a form that we provide online, and we'll custom make you a set of mud flaps to line up with your tires. All right, step one, we're going to measure from hole B to the ground. Now on this truck, it doesn't have any screws on the outside edge of the fender well, so we're going to use screw B, which is inside here. But if your truck's got a screw outside on the edge of the fender well, that'll probably be the best one to use for this measurement. Oftentimes trucks aren't going to set perfectly level, so what we suggest is you measure both sides and then take an average of that number. So write this number into the first box for step one for the rear on your form. So step two is to tell us how far off the ground you'd like your mud flaps to hang. Now we design our standard flaps to hang about 9 inches off the ground on a stock truck. If you're pulling a trailer, we recommend 2 inches longer, which would be about 7 inches off the ground. But since you're getting custom mud flaps made, you can determine whatever length you want. However, if you get closer than about 6 inches, that will void our warranty, as you can back into curbs and damage your flaps. So step three is to tell us how wide you'd like your mud flaps to be. Our standards are 12 and 14 inch wide for single wheel trucks and 20 inches wide for dualies. But since you're getting a custom mud flap made, you can tell us whichever width you'd like. So step four is to measure from hole B out to the outside edge of the tire. This is a critical dimension for us in order to get your mud flap centered with your tires. To do this, we're going to need a 3 or 4 foot straight edge. 4 foot level will work great for this, but if you don't have something like that, even a broomstick can work. So what we'll do is we'll place the straight edge on the outside edge of the tire, hold it with your knee, about the height of that hole B, and then we're going to measure from the center of that screw out to the straight edge. And in this case, we're about 9.5 inches. So the last step, step 5, is to measure the width of the tires. The easiest thing to do is to measure across the tread. In this case, we're getting about 11 inches. However, that's not going to give you the maximum coverage or protection, so we suggest measuring from the inside bulge of the tire to the outside bulge of the tire, as if you were holding a straight edge back across there, across the outside and the inside. And now we're getting a 12-inch measurement, so that's an inch wider of a mud flap. So this is an example of our standard mud flap on a truck that's got aftermarket wheels and tires. As you can see, the flap is designed to be centered with stock wheels. So here we've got about 2 inches of wheel that's out past the mud flap, and the flap's not centered on the tire. So from behind, it looks really odd. Our custom shift is going to move this flap out and make it a little bit wider so it looks like it was designed for this truck. All right, now you can see we've got our custom mud flap built, and you can see it's the width of the tire comes out to match, gives a much better professional look.